Okay, everyone, day 14 of the 20 and 30 challenge. Just again, getting amazing results. You guys are doing phenomenally well. I myself have been personally encouraged just by the amount of dedication and hard work you guys are putting into this thing. Today's topic is all about sleep. And I want to let you know that sleep is one of the most underestimated elements of health and well-being, and yes, even weight loss. And people just don't give sleep enough credit. A lot of people, typically get the hours, but with sleep, it's not necessarily about volume as much as it is about quality. So I want to talk about quality sleep for just a minute. Research shows that most people get between 6 and 7 hours sleep every night, and that you really only need between 6 and 8 hours of sleep to function really well. The problem is there quality to your sleep? Research actually shows that if you get more than 8 hours, once you start approaching 9 hours and definitely 10 hours, there's a point of diminishing return. Basically, you're not getting as much out of the sleep, and you can actually have it be a detrimental effect to the rest of your day. So people, don't have as much energy. The hormone cycles get kind of messed up when you get too much sleep. My point is that 6 and 8 hours, that's the sweet spot. For years and years, I got away with 6 hours of sleep. Now that I have 2 little ones running around the house, those 6 hours aren't as quality as they used to be. So now I typically need a good 7 hours, and then I can, still wake up at 4:45. I read the Bible, I do my stuff, I pray, and then I'm at the gym by 6. Back home, showering by 7. I'm at the office by 8, and then I can typically go, for a good 8 to 10 hour day at the office. And it's not a big deal as long as I hydrate myself well and I stick with my nutrition. I can do that, and that's worked really well for me. But it's because I've really gone to great lengths to make sure I'm getting good quality sleep. So one of the ways that, or here are a few tips rather, in order to improve the quality of your sleep. Number one is you want to try to get to bed around 10 o'clock. There's a lot of research that shows that the hours of sleep that you get before midnight are actually about twice as beneficial as the hours that you get after midnight. So try to get to bed around 10 o'clock. That's kind of the sweet spot for me. The other thing is that you don't want to eat anything within about 2 hours of bedtime. I know that's hard for those of you that work late hours, myself included, a lot of nights because I speak and I do workshops and give doctor's reports at the office. I'm not home till sometimes 8 or 8:30. And then it makes it tough if you're going to bed by 10, you're pretty much eating immediately when you get home. But that's my goal. My goal is to not eat anything 2 hours before bedtime. And the reason why is you don't want your body working really hard to metabolize a bunch of food as you're trying to wind down and go to sleep. A lot of people get a lot of sleep, but they wake up feeling super groggy and tired. And it's because your body spent all night digesting and trying to assimilate and break down the food and the nutrients that you had right before you went to bed. That's another reason why you don't want to eat a lot of sugar in the second half of your day. So carbohydrates, even fruit and whole grains, things of that nature, you typically want to do before lunch or at the very latest at lunch. And then you let that sugar work for you the rest of the day, and then you're not trying to use all that extra sugar as you're sleeping. You want to have a heavy fat concentration in your diet the second half of your day. So typically quite a bit of protein and carbohydrates in the morning, less protein and more fat at lunch, and then even less protein and more fat at dinner, and typically no carbohydrates. Every once in a while for dessert, we'll have like a blueberry treat with some almond butter and almond milk, and that's kind of like instead of ice cream or cake or something like that. But you typically don't want to eat a whole lot of sugar at the end of the day. Another thing, and this is probably obvious, you don't want to have any caffeine within 6 hours of going to sleep. Just because obviously, caffeine's a stimulant. The last thing, just really quickly here, and this has been kind of revolutionary for us. This isn't something that we necessarily focused really heavily on until fairly recently, and that's getting electronics completely out of our bedroom. And so we don't, have a lot of TV. We don't watch a lot of TV. We don't do a whole lot of media stuff at home at night. But we do have a TV in our bedroom, and we typically either watch a documentary or a show on Netflix or something like that right before we go to bed. And we have our computers to do that, or we're sending emails or just following up with the day. And recently, we've totally gotten rid of all that stuff. So we literally unplug the TV at night unless we're watching a movie or something like that on the weekend. We unplug it. We don't have anything plugged in except for the lamps on our nightstands. We've moved our cell phones and our computers out of the room completely so that those things aren't giving off EMFs, they're not giving off EMFs as we're sleeping at night. And that really helps make sure that you get a really sound night's rest. And I can notice quite a bit of difference. Plus, that stuff's a form of radiation, cell phones, computer, Wi-Fi, TV, all that stuff. So just to recap, don't eat anything within the last 2 hours before you go to bed. Don't have any caffeine the last 6 hours before you go to bed. Try to get to bed by 10 o'clock. Get between 6 and 8 hours of sleep every single night. And try to get the electronics off before you go to bed. And then I typically read something just to get my mind to be at rest, to get my mind off of the day's problems and not worried about tomorrow's problems, because we all have issues. We all have stuff to deal with in our lives, good and bad. But that's how I get unwound at night. I hope that helps you. Get lots of sleep. Day 14, you guys are rocking it.